Recruiting is a hectic process, not just for the candidates, but even for the hiring managers and recruiters. They have to go through hundreds of resumes to eventually shortlist people with whom they can afford to spend their company's time and resources. In corporate world, the easier you make your manager's life, the more are your chances to shine, and this starts right from your resume. Hello, everybody. My name is Puneet Bansal, and in today's video, we're going to talk about all the points that will help you craft a perfect technical resume. So before we get started, I would like to focus on two main points. First, if you're somebody with has a master's degree or with even a few years of experience, it's good to have a single page resume. A rule of thumb while creating resumes is to make it easier for anyone to quickly find what they need. Don't lose their attention span by giving out 2 to 3 page resumes. We all know nobody's going to read through it all. The second important point I would like to mention is to know ins and outs of all the skills, projects, and experiences you have mentioned in your resume. It's a very big red flag if you've been asked a question on resume and you're not able to answer it. So now that we're done with these two key points, let's jump right to a resume and talk about the other key points which will be very essential in helping you craft your perfect technical resume. All right, let's get started. First and foremost thing, begin with a clear and concise header. This consists of your name and contact information, which further includes your phone number and your email, followed by a LinkedIn and GitHub profile links. Please make sure that these profile links are polished and updated. Then, if you're just starting out in your career, you will have education. Just make sure that these education or anything that you mention in your resume is in a reverse chronological order. Again, if you're just starting out, it's good to mention courses, which basically, and specifically for embedded systems, you can mention courses like embedded software development, real-time embedded systems, which basically helps to tell that you professionally learned these skills and courses in an academia environment. Coming forward to skill sets, now, it's very essential to write the relevant skill sets in your resume. First, it helps you go through the applicant tracking system, which might have a filter based on the skills that you have mentioned in your resume. Second, it helps the hiring managers and recruiters to specifically find what skill set that they are recruiting for. But a key point to keep in mind is to do not write your skills like this here, separated by a comma. It's very difficult to read, and again, the attention span is lost. Instead, divide your skill set into broad categories and list them as points. It helps them to find the specific skill sets that they're looking for. So here we can see all sorts of skills: C, Python, we can see Arduino, digital oscilloscopes, logic analyzer, lots of things are mentioned here, but I have to read through it all. Here, on the other hand, when I look at this skill set, which is properly organized, I know, okay, I want a candidate which has I2C or SPI experience. I can clearly see I2C and SPI under communication protocols. I want somebody with debugging experience, and I can clearly see that this person knows how to operate a logic analyzer. So the resume immediately stands out. Try this thing if you submit your resume into a lot of portals but you're not getting a call back. This could be one of the reasons. So we're not supposed to write it like this. I would recommend writing it your skill sets like this. So the next thing to mention in your resume is work experience. And the key point to keep in mind here is a relevant technical work experience. So if you have previous work experience, it's good to mention it. Again, the thing to keep in mind is a reverse chronological order. If you don't have full-time experience, you can mention internship experience. If you don't have internship experience, you can mention student assistantships or teaching assistantship stints that you did. Again, make sure that they are technical. You're applying for a technical job. So make sure those are technical and relevant. If you don't have any work experience, it's completely fine. We will then focus on the projects. How to write these points, how to write your work experience, we can discuss next when we talk about projects. Now, coming to the next point, which is projects. Let's discuss it using an example of a typical embedded systems project. As you know, a typical embedded system project, what it consists of a remote node, a control node. A remote node has sensors and actuators. The sensors sends the data from the remote node to control node. It basically processes the data and takes decisions, sends the data to remote node, and the remote node performs all sorts of actuations based on it. Now, how do you write such a project in a resume? Let's talk about it. Firstly, you will mention the topic. Then I also like to add the skills that you learned through this project. It also helps you backtrack that, okay, you learned this skill and it's also a part of the skill set that you have mentioned in the resume. So that's a good key point to note. Again, reverse chronological order, the latest project comes first. Um, so, how to write these projects? Firstly, everything should be mentioned in points, maximum 3 or 4 points. Then all the points should not exceed a line. If the point exceeds a line, that means that there is excessive information. Either there is excessive information and you need to get rid of it, or if there is relevant information, then it should go on to the next point. Make sure that you are utilizing this whole space and ending your points here. Keep on revisiting your resume, rewriting your resume till you are able to achieve this. Make the most of the space that is provided to you. Again, how to write these points? You can focus on three main points, which is what you did, how you did, and what was the impact that you achieved. So there is a star methodology to do it, but to simplify it even further, you can focus on these 3 points. Firstly, begin with uh, something which is called as action verbs. So developed, interfaced, enabled, reduced. These are all action verbs. Go to Google and search for action verbs and try to incorporate them in all the points mentioning your work experiences and projects. So, what you did, you developed a system to track temperature, humidity in whatever system that you created. How you did it? You interfaced sensors. You can mention what your sensors are, actuators, and then you performed some synchronized buffer thing on the control node. Then, how did you communicate between the remote and control node? You use SPY, I2C, or UART, and then you were also performed unit testing, right? And what was the impact? The impact was you were able to reduce system's current consumption, right? It's an embedded systems. The most important thing is power efficiency. And how were you able to do it? Event-driven firmware. So this way, you were able to mention all the points. A person who's reading through this resume is intrigued by it. And then if you want, more discussions can take place about it in your interview process. So that's an example of how you can write your projects and work experiences. Um, Next thing is if you have any publications, you can mention them. There is a proper format to mention it, and you can Google about it and only mention it in that proper format to mention the publications. The last point to note here, I like to add something which shows you can do something outside of these technical skills. So I like to mention some leadership stint of mine, but it's not limited to it. You can also put in some hobby or sport that you are really good at and you would like to highlight it. But again, make sure that you're only putting things that you can talk about, which you're passionate about, and eventually you can have a conversation about. So that's all the information I have, all the points that I had to help you craft your resume. If you like whatever is shared, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends who are in the same boat as you. Let's make sure that all of us are getting better together. Thank you and have a good one.